Hello, welcome back to Blender CC Live Coding. In this episode, I want to share the breakdown of this setup. This is again using curve and geometry nodes so that we can use the curve like pen effects in Maya, right? So it's pretty simple. If we draw things with curve, set this to the surface, we can actually make something that looks like a pipe, you can of course write whatever kanji or any kind of characters. So yeah, this is pretty simple and you can do this under just few minutes, I guess. I'm using Blender 4.1 and we are able to do this quite easily. Why? Because we have again the split to instance, this guy. Okay, split to instance node will do the job for us. We basically start with a curve, right? So we need to resample the curve. We can resample it as many as we want. So it's really super fast, and we can sample it by count or by the length of the curve. So it's totally up to you. The next node I use is curve to mesh. Why? Because I like to be able to use polygon, and I like geometry nodes to look at the polygon edge and then make a selections, like a random value in this case. If we are using delete geometry, it's actually quite clear. It's a little bit clearer that way. Let me show you. So this is the first one I did. So it's a randomly deleting geometry edge based on this number. So this number basically 0 or 1 or whatever value that coming in, 1 being selected. So if it's selected, it's going to be deleted, and then the rest of them, simply just to turn the polygon edge back into a curve and then set the curve radius randomly. So we have this randomness, and yeah, it's slightly different. But the second setup is this one, which is more colorful and interesting. With this one, I'm using split to instance. So after we resample our curve, turn it into polygon edge, same idea. We are using random value, so between 0 and 1. It's gonna separate it into two groups, actually, just two groups. I believe you can actually have more groups, so it could be more interesting this way, but it's play around with this number. For simplicity, I just use 0 and 1, so two random value will create a two different group ID, and based on that group ID we can have two instances of object, and then we can then use mesh the curve and then curve radius, blah blah blah. The thing is, I believe if we use the group ID, we can actually separate them into two groups. I haven't tested this myself. We don't need the store name. I think this is just me experimenting, but basically you have group ID anyway, so you can have two different material or more if you have more group. But if you have just two groups, it's become instance, and you can instance on points. You can separate the instance and yes, point. Yeah, I think you're gonna have two separate group. This is actually quite interesting. Not as obvious for now, but if you have two points and each one of them is picking a different instance, we can then have two objects. So each one of them is separated. Right, I think this is the main points of split to instance. It's not just that You see how they become two separate groups? Yeah, I still have to figure out if I want to set material for each one of the group. But for now, at least we figure it out. We can actually have more, for example, 5 groups. So we can have 5 different objects, each one of them separated by each instance, right? So that's really cool on that nodes, but we're not gonna do that. We just simply pipe this out, match to curve, and the rest of them is the same. Just use the curve info, curve ID, plug into the ID, and then so we have different curve radius. We can control the curve radius that way. So that's cool. And then curve circle. Okay, curve circle. You can use circle or whatever you like on top of that. You can have square, for example, and you can also use maybe star. It's gonna look quite different now. Looks like a bolt, some kind of, yeah, nuts and bolts. This one, star, is actually almost like could be like a donut as well, because star have a hole inside it. So there's an inner radius and outer radius. Anyhow, after you do that, just you can realize instances. If you want to remesh it, just set the material, and then for the material I just use random per island, set the hue and saturation, and yeah, pretty cool, I guess. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, and I like these effects because we can apply it into curve, and there's a lot of things that we can do with it. And all you need to do is just go to edit and just draw things, and you have this paint effects tools for geometry nodes. I think you can have hundreds or more paint effects already using geometry nodes. So yeah, that's instancing the group. I really like the group split to instance node. This one is really powerful. You need to play around with it. You probably don't need to turn curve into mesh here, but I like to work with the polygon edge. You can also use spline. You can split the spline into different group and work from there. Yeah, but that's pretty much the setup. Yeah, hopefully you find this useful. Yeah, thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.